All right. Well, good morning. I want to thank Renee. Oh gosh, I should have asked you how to say your last name.
Yazel.
Yazel. I'm just going to let you. Okay, Renee Yazel here from DESE, and you are actually part of the counseling department at DESE. Or can you tell us your official title?
Correct. I am the coordinator for adult education and literacy and school counseling.
All right. And so you're here today. We're really excited to have you to share about the REACH initiative and some of the social emotional resources that DESE provides to school. And we have Arthur on the call, who is from Hogan Prep, who does a lot of great work with trauma and social emotional learning. So we're just happy to have you here today. So we're going to let you share with us some of these great resources, and then we'll ask questions and debrief at the end.
Great. Thank you, Shauna. I'm so excited to be here this morning. And thanks for the opportunity to share DESE's REACH initiative with our social emotional learning, our trauma-informed schools, and positive mental health. And so forgive me, I talk fast. I have a lot to say, and I don't want to miss anything. So I'm just going to jump right in. So, as schools began this past school year, they were welcoming back students and staff members who had experienced unprecedented trauma, lost loved ones, experienced economic insecurity, missed crucial socialization events, school closure. So to address those needs, DESE partnered with Alive and Well Communities to begin this REACH initiative. And we came up with this acronym because we felt like it described our scope of work. So we wanted to make sure we recognized needs, that we educated schools and communities about some of the opportunities that we could provide at DESE, helping to adapt to a new normal, and I'm getting used to that word, new normal, connecting them to not only maybe resources in their region or the state, but also through DESE, and to help build SEL capacity, because that's going to be an ongoing piece. So I want to point out the URL, reach4mo.org, because all of our materials can be found at reach4mo.org. We even have the domain names of .com and .gov. So if you mess up on the end of it, you'll still go to the right place. But reach4mo.org is where you'll find all of these materials. And we felt like this acronym led to our mission statement, which is that the REACH initiative will strive to help schools to ensure their students and staff, because social emotional learning applies to staff as well, to feel safe, welcome, and supported through trauma-informed care aligned with social emotional supports. So we partnered with Alive and Well Communities, and this was our August through December work. And I'm sharing this specifically because these are saved on our website, and they are still applicable today as they were in the months that we provided those. So Alive and Well Communities convened an educator work group to determine what topics would be most applicable during each month as we move through that beginning COVID stages. And so I'm not going to go through these in depth, but you can see August through December, the different topics that we provided. So during each of those months, we had multiple live events that educators could hop on and talk to the experts and share things that they were concerned about and working on in real time. But we also found then that many of our educators were not able to be available at those times. So we asked Alive and Well to pre-record the same topic along with a guidance document that we could house on our website, so that educators that weren't able to attend the live event could go at their leisure and at their time, watch these PDs and address the guidance document. I just want to point out a couple specifically, in that September was grief. And that is such an ongoing, because this isn't necessarily just grief of the loss of a loved one. It's the grief that many of our educators and our students had with not being able to close out school. There was, they didn't get to see their teacher at the end of the year. They didn't get to go to prom or homecoming. They missed some events that maybe were athletic. And so there were so many losses, not necessarily in resulting in a death, but just a loss, that these guidance documents and the webinars help understand the look-fors and strategies, language to use if you notice this with your students or even fellow staff members. And like the educator well-being, we are finding that that's so prevalent right now, because with recruitment and retention of educators, counselors, nurses, anytime is kind of a tough one, but during a pandemic, it's even worse. And so we really need to make sure we give our educators permission to shut down, to practice self-care, to address their own needs. I presented at a conference last night, at an administrator conference. I got home really late, and I was in the kitchen making some hot chocolate, and I heard my computer ding about 9:30 and heard my computer dinging. And I had to give myself permission. Renee, you don't have to go answer that email right now. You know, it's 9:30, you can take a break. And so many of our teachers, they're so dedicated and they're so passionate that they aren't giving themselves permission. So I point that out because I think these are going to be very applicable, you know, throughout the rest of this school year and even into next. I want to point out the regional strategic planning teams. We convene teams in each of the 9 RPDC regions that consist of educators and parents, and even some had students involved. And so those teams are meeting as a focus group for us to talk about what's happening in their region, you know, what maybe roadblocks they had, what strengths that they saw, so that as we start this next school year, we will have a better idea of the needs of our communities and our schools, and that at the department, we can do our best to address what those needs will be. So in January, we did a pivot. What we were hearing from our teachers was that they were tired of Zoom. You know, we're just tired of being on the computer. We feel like we need to be heard and valued and supported and safe. And so while these PD things are great, these opportunities are great, we're just burned out. So we did a major strategic pivot, and we decided that we would make it more personalized with our educators. And so we started these new strategies, and I'm going to walk through them very briefly. So the peer-led supportive spaces are held every Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. And those are safe spaces, online safe spaces that educators can go and talk about their experiences, increase their mindfulness and wellness, begin the process of healing. Those safe spaces are facilitated by licensed mental health professionals and educators. So with Alive and Well, we contracted multiple licensed mental health professionals, LPCs, LCSWs, marriage and family therapists, to help engage those supportive spaces. Now, this is not a therapy session. We're not providing therapy, but we're providing a therapeutic space for those folks to come together and just talk and be heard and embrace this new normal. So there on that reach4mo.org, there is a way to register. Now, we are maintaining confidentiality. So when I say register, either we go on and give a name and an email that's not shared with anybody. And the reason that we're doing that is to maintain as much confidentiality, to make sure that, you know, the URL is going out to the right people, and just to get an idea of how many folks might be on the call, so we have enough therapists on hand. Because if the numbers would get too big, you know, we want these to be small and more personalized, then we can divide them up into groups. So once that a person has registered, they never have to register again. A Zoom link will be sent, and they can use that Zoom link to come on any Tuesday or Thursday during that time and just join. So if they feel the need, we have some folks that have come once and some folks that are coming multiple times. And I feel like they're a very integral part of healing for some of our teachers, to be able to just be heard and make those connections with others, that connectedness, that relationship. Those also lead into the critical incident debriefings. And the critical incident debriefings are a little bit more personalized in that a single person, a single educator, or a small group at a school can request for a critical incident debrief. And that's more for a space for maybe a school district or a person who has a specific crisis going on in their area, their region, that needs some additional help. It might be just dealing with virtual teaching, or it might be a loss of a student. So either a teacher or an administrator can call and request to set up a critical incident debrief, and that mental health specialist will set up a specific time to meet with that group or that teacher and walk through any employee assistance plans that they might need, additional counseling that might be available to help folks get through, or the resources in their area to help them get through some of those troubling times. And I also want to point out that we use the DoxyMe platform for this. So that's a HIPAA compliant Zoom, so that we can ensure as much confidentiality as we can, because some of these stories that we're hearing are so personal, and we just want to make sure that we're helping somebody get through some of the crisis without fear of anybody else, getting their information. So those peer-led supportive spaces and critical incident debriefings, like I said, are available to anybody. You can access those whenever it works for you. And then we moved on into some REACH team trainings. I'm going to take a minute on my next slide and talk about that, and the crisis plan document. So what we're hearing is that school districts, they have crisis plans and they have safety plans, but many were not written through a trauma-informed lens and aren't embedded with social emotional learning language. So we are contracting to have a template, a sample exemplar that a school district could use for a crisis plan that may have some sample letters to parents, letters to teachers that would help them either build one or edit one that they have. And so we're hoping to roll that out by this next school year. So the REACH team trainings are more specific to the Trauma-Informed Schools Initiative. These are designed for school teams to come together and learn about the impacts of trauma specific to their school and what's going on with their teachers and students. They're a 4-hour half-day training, no cost. And the great thing with these trainings is that you've got a professional there to help lead you through it, a mental health professional to lead you through it. You're going to walk away, you take away a strategic action plan specific to your school, and we have follow-up support to make sure that the plan is ongoing and workable. Because we all know that trauma-informed it's a journey, it's not a destination, and we need to continue to work at that. The teams can be whomever the school district chooses. We typically suggest a school mental health person, maybe the nurse, an administrator. When we did this pilot back in 2016, we had school districts that actually brought parents and school board members on board to the team. And the dynamics of that are just amazing. It's that rich information you get from all the folks involved in your community. But let me see if I've got the trainings revolve around our Missouri model for trauma-informed schools. This is a standalone document on the DESE website. It can be found at motraumaschools.com. And school districts could take this Missouri model for trauma-informed schools, and I'm not going to get into the weeds of where that all came from. It's all on the website. And make their own team and begin work on the trauma-informed journey. But having this opportunity, we think this year, with a no-cost professional to come lead you through it, and maybe even bring sample plans from other schools, similar size and region, is just paramount. So we have a video that I wanted to share. This, if you go to this URL, this is a 5-minute video. I'm not going to show it here, but go watch this. This is a testimonial of administrators across the state who have started to use this work, from like down in Scott County to Kansas City Public. And we have administrators that are talking about how dynamic it has made the work in their school and what they're using these REACH initiative opportunities for. So if you get an opportunity, it's less than 5 minutes. And to me, it's motivational to hear those administrators buy in and understand the importance is just critical. The team trainings, as I said, are on that reach4mo.org website. I just wanted to show the April trainings. This is when they're scheduled for April. There's a couple more in May and a couple more in June that are already slated and the calendar set. So get on the website, see if you can work into any of those trainings. And you get to decide, the school district gets to decide the team. We even have one larger district that is bringing their administrators to the first team training to get a district overall feel of what they think the trauma-informed journey should look like. And then each of those administrators will go to their respective buildings and determine in their building then what those dynamics would be. So, you get to make that decision on how that looks in your school, and to have that professional walk you through it and walk away with the plan, to me, is just critical. I also just wanted to quickly point out that we partnered with the Department of Mental Health in their Show Me Hope. The Show Me Hope is Department of Mental Health's Missouri Crisis Counseling Program, and they have a number of additional mental health supports. They've offered small groups, grief groups for educators who've lost a loved one during the pandemic. They have a number of opportunities on the DMH website. And this number is one that we promote. They also are maintaining a helpline, a hotline for folks that are struggling through this pandemic, whether it's just some depression or maybe suicidal ideations. But we feel it's so important to have that number so that everybody knows 24/7. If you are feeling upset or depressed, you have somebody that you can call. And while it might not be intensive therapy, they're very well-trained mental health professionals answering those calls, and they will get you to somebody that will help you through that. So we're suggesting that schools post this number in their teachers lounge, put it on their memos to teachers, so that everybody knows there's always somebody available 24/7. And then lastly, I just shared a slide. Chrissy Bayshore, who's the director of school counseling, and I are kind of leading out the REACH initiative at the department. So if anybody has any questions or needs help with connecting to somebody, don't hesitate to get a hold of either one of us. And if we don't know the information, we will certainly connect you with somebody who does. So quickly, I hopefully I shared everything that you needed, but I'm so passionate about this work, and I think it's critical. And I would just end by saying, this year we tended to focus more on the educators, that we just wanted to make sure that recruitment and retention of teachers was paramount in our work. But as we roll through this summer, we are now more focusing on students as well, and what we need to do at the department for our student body, and how we can make sure that social emotional learning is embedded in everything that we do in our school systems.
Wow. Well, I'm overwhelmed with all the supports that you offer that districts could take advantage of. So just to review, they have places where on Tuesdays and Thursdays, people can come from 4 to 5 and just get some support and talk through therapy. The critical incident debriefing, where a district, if, I'm thinking, Hogan, Arthur, we've had deaths of students. If they have a major trauma, that could be another resource for a group of people to come and talk about a district issue, to give advice on how to handle it. The district, your DESE is trying to help support with a crisis plan template that does focus on trauma informed. And then at the end, which I think is probably, in my mind as a consultant, the biggest piece that a lot of schools would need and want to take advantage of, is this free REACH trauma informed care training, that they could come bring a team for a free 4-hour training and really begin to develop a good plan for their school. So I think I'm trying to think like an administrator. And Arthur, I definitely would love to hear from you, because I think you might have questions, but I know you also have ideas of how to implement, because you're so great at it as well. But I think a lot of schools might be thinking, okay, I know that I need a trauma-informed care plan, so one of my steps could make sure that I send a team to here, and that we have a building level plan. But as a former administrator myself, I might also be thinking, how do I support my staff? I would like to assume that we've gotten through some of the most difficult, but there's still going to be grief, and there's still going to be processes. Have either of you implemented, or do you have ideas on what building leaders or even district could do to support staff to have those safe spaces there? Is it to always, we could provide these, like the show me hope, making sure that's a resource, but do you have any ideas of just systems or things that leaders could be putting in place to support their staff?
I really enjoyed the presentation immensely. I wanted to say that this is one of the things that, as a social worker in a school, we are doing as well. And counselors and social workers, their roles are not always defined as who does what. And I think that's on every level. But I do say that all of these things that Missouri offers are things that, as a social worker, I've gone out and got training for all of these, and gotten the certification to be a trauma practitioner. All of those things that I've gone out to do to bring back to my school, we don't even have to do that with this, the way they have it. But one thing it will work is when we go and send people to Missouri, to the websites, I'm here to add to and share with the questions and details. So this is going to be a tool that's going to be invaluable for us here. we've developed trauma-informed teams. We developed those teams within the buildings to connect. And we really are in the infancy state of it, and now realizing that we don't have to do it all ourselves. And we got Missouri is going to actually set us up to where we get to see that working piece that's already been presented. I'm looking forward to seeing that when it's the guideline plan is sent out. I definitely want to be on the list to be one of the first to get that.
Can I interject? And thank you so much, Arthur. You just triggered my memory, because one of the things I heard last night in my presentation to some of the administrators is that they weren't aware of some of the work that we're rolling out. And you know, we thought we were being very strategic in sharing this. So I would truly, highly suggest any administrator, or I guess anybody, but administrators specifically from any district, go on the DESE website. There's on communications, it's called the DESE Weekly. And so it's an email that rolls out to the, typically the PR administrative folks about all the new things that are happening at the department. And for me, it's been invaluable because I don't always know what other sections are doing, and to see that weekly come out. And anybody that has any involvement with mental health, where school psych, social workers, counselors, whomever, to go on the school counseling webpage and sign up for our listserv. It's really quickly. You just put your name and your email in, and anything that rolls out with mental health, with trauma informed, with social emotional learning, we push out through that listserv so that everybody is involved. And Shauna, I can even send you those links if it would be easier to send out. But being informed is what's critical.
Well,
you just answered my question. Sorry, Shauna, go ahead.
Yeah, well, Renee, that's part of the reason I'm trying to do this on my network too and have these calls, is because I think leaders get so overwhelmed in the work, and I've been there, right? And we're so busy doing the work and putting out the fires that they're not aware of these resources. And so that's what I'm trying to build, a professional learning community for the leaders across the state of Missouri to do that. So you sending those direct links would help. I'm, writing them down quickly, because I'm definitely going to be sharing things from the today with them. And again, that's the whole purpose, is we're trying to keep people informed so that we can work smarter and not harder. So one of the things that Arthur put in the chat, if you wouldn't, I don't know if you'd feel comfortable sharing your presentation or the link to that, because we could also link that.
Absolutely. I will, when we finish, I will send you the slides, and then I can send you these links as well.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. And so then I'll upload that all the network so that they'll have the recording of this call, your PowerPoint. I'm going to embed the video that you suggested watching, and just make it easy for people so that they can just click. But definitely, I know with the people I consult with, I'm going to be forwarding and saying, hey, make sure you know this, because the April, May, June dates, those are sneaking up quickly. And so people need to make sure to get on that.
And I think in my PowerPoint, everything's hyperlinked. The video and all the Reach remote, everything's hyperlinked already.
Okay, perfect. Arthur, did you have another question?
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I tell you this, I'm glad that I got the invitation, because this was something that's really going to be really helpful. One of the biggest tools that we have here. I believe in everything you've said, and I'm grateful to be able to access all this information. And I hope that you know that I have a group of people throughout my district that meets with me every week, and we're doing this. So you've just taken all the steps out of it. I don't have to worry about it anymore, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Arthur, you're making me feel bad, because last month I'm like, Arthur, get on this call. No, good. So
you can do that anytime. After you put me onto your other site that I go to. It's just, you're just a wealth of information, and you keep reaching out and bringing in more stuff, because that's how we grow with new knowledge.
Well, and so just everyone from the department is so willing to do that too. So you're so appreciated. And I think the biggest takeaway, I'm going to answer my own question because you guys answered it. One of the things I think schools can do is to make sure that they're utilizing the reach form training, but making sure that they have a team in place, right, who can help consider these issues and think about, do we have a plan in place? Are we taking the right steps? Are we supporting staff? I think that needs to be a separate committee and a team that schools are really putting a constant, because not everybody has an Arthur Seabury in their district. So for those leaders who don't, you know, that they could get a group of people to really make it a priority, because as a leader, you know, that was, I didn't have time to take care of people. I got to do the work. And that is the work. We've got to take care of our kids and our people. So
That's amazing.
And I would just like to last say, if you know of anything else that is of a paramount need, please let Chrissy or I know, because the only way we know what to push out to you is for you to tell us what you need, which is why we made that strategic plan pivot in January. And so as we roll into next year, if you're, you know, and I know we're going to focus on students more, but if there's something that you know that we could provide, please don't hesitate to let us know, because we're here for you. Guys are amazing, and we're here to help you help those important kiddos. So keep us posted on what your needs are.
right.
Okay, we'd like to also ask, do you have CEU opportunities for our clinicians and social workers within the building so they can get CEUs through any of your workshops?
You know, I don't know that, because we don't, at the department, we don't address the CEUs. So they can come from the universities. And so typically it's when somebody hosts us to come present, they address the CEUs. We don't necessarily do that at the department, but I'll check into that and see what next steps might be.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much to both of you for attending. And I know this will be great for schools to know about.
Have a great day.